The past several weeks have been filled with talk of the top 3 horses on the Vodacom Durban July log: Do It Again, Rainbow Bridge and Hawwaam. The racing news team were out and about this week, and we bring you the latest news. Do It Again delighted his fans in the Rising Sun Gold Challenge with a turn of foot in the final furlongs that enthralled all those watching.
Cirillo, Do It Again, and then Rainbow Bridge has to come around them. Cirillo from Do It Again over the last 50, it's Carlos. Do It Again won it, second to Cirillo.
Justin, the pressure was on to produce him on the day, and you and your team certainly did that.
Yeah, look, it's very hard. He hadn't been on the racetrack for 4.5 months, and it was always a plan. We set it from the beginning. So yeah, but it wasn't ideal. It's difficult. It's unheard of.
Justin, just outstanding the way you brought this horse back.
You describe him as one of the most intelligent horses you've trained. Is that necessarily an advantage when managing a top horse like him?
A bit of both, to be honest. No, he's become such a beautiful horse to work with in the box and stuff, but he's careful. He always looks first to see that it's safe, and then he'll do what you want, which is great. I mean, so you just got to give him that opportunity to figure out things, and then he's an absolute pleasure. At home, he's the nicest ride. He's fresh at the moment though after the race. That race has woken him up, so he's bucking a bit and stuff like that. So we just got to be careful and make sure that he's in good hands.
How fit was he when winning the Gold Challenge, and is there still some left in the tank come the Vodacom Durban July?
Well, the tank's full. That's the good news. It's very full. So he'll come on from that race, make no mistake. There's nothing like a good blow, and he got that in that race. It was a very, very impressive field, and take nothing away from the other horses. They ran great races. The problem is Vodacom Durban July is a handicap. It's not a weight for age. So as good as he is, it's very simple. To win the race this year, you have to run the best race that you've ever run in your entire career as a racehorse. So he will have to run better than he did when he won the Queen's Plate, better than when he won the July last year, better than he did now on last Saturday to win, because every horse is handicapped accordingly. So you've got horses with 53 kilos on their backs, so he's got his work cut out, to be honest. We're just hoping that he's better than the 60 kilos that he's carrying, which we do think he is, but it's one thing thinking that, it's another thing going out and taking on Bahrain carrying 53 kilos. It's very, and giving Hawwaam weight 4 kilos, giving Rainbow Bridge weight, giving everybody weight. So but if we go and beat them under those conditions, then it'll keep people quiet for a while.
It's no good wondering what could have been had Rainbow Bridge not been balked for a run in the latter stages of the Rising Sun Gold Challenge.
And then Rainbow Bridge has to come around them. Cirillo from Do It Again over the last 50, it's Carlos. Do It Again won it, second.
Peter, has he suffered any ill effects from that?
No, he's taken the run very well. Obviously, he looks a big strapping boy, but he is quite a delicate horse. We've kept a lid on his temperament very well, and that was a concern coming to Summerveld, but he's handled it very well, like the true professional he is. Luck in running, I probably tend to disagree slightly, and I know Anton came in for a lot of criticism, not coming round them when he straightened, and he went for the gap between two horses. But he is a horse who's traditionally lays in quite badly. Not for any unsoundness reasons, I think it's more habit. In Cape Town he lays out, and that's just his natural style of running. So Anton was looking for the option to go in, but unfortunately that closed up in front of him, so he had to come round. So, but certainly if he'd got that split at that stage, he would have run second.
How race ready was he on that day, and what can be expected still come the Vodacom Durban July?
Well, I think he's going to peak come July Day. He was second up into that race. He arrived slightly later than the majority of horses arrive for the winter season. He'd had one gallop in Cape Town. Certainly the whole preparation is geared to July Day, obviously. So he's come through great. He's very sound. He looks magnificent, and it's just a matter of keeping him ticking over with one final grass gallop sort of 10 days out from the race, which should see him spot on for the day.
Whatever your view of the Gold Challenge, it seems that Rainbow Bridge has a score to settle come the Vodacom Durban July. He will now be ridden by Gavin Larena. Ruling Vodacom Durban July favourite, Hawwaam, showed he's everything everyone believes him to be when winning his first outing to Greyville recently, the Grade 1 Daily News 2000.
It's Hawwaam by a length and a quarter. Twist of Fate is trying to wear it down over the last 100. Hawwaam still being kept together. Twist of Fate is trying to make a race of it, but Hawwaam's going on, and Hawwaam will win it.
Mike, how has he come through that run?
Very well. He's as happy as and enjoying himself. So I mean, he's fairly straightforward in the morning when it comes to training. He's a horse that enjoys his work and puts his head down and eats.
He's not unlike his half-brother Rainbow Bridge in that he's got attitude. Do you find that this works to his advantage, or is it something that has to be managed?
You know, he's a kind of horse mismanaged. He could go the other way. But certainly, you know, I like horses with a bit of attitude. I think it gives them an edge sometimes, especially if they're aggressive and want to win.
You've won the Vodacom Durban July with 3-year-olds before. Is Hawwaam as good as any of them?
He certainly is. I mean, Bold Savannah won it, and Irish Flame was second.
And these two top-class animals coming to the line, but they can...
He's a better horse than they were, for sure. Igugu won it as a filly. I'm not convinced he was better than her at all.
Blaze through the field to beat Pierre Jordan.
And Ipitombi, he certainly wasn't as good as, or isn't as good as. So it's a tough one. He's in between all of them, you know. But none of them really ran with horses like Rainbow Bridge and Do It Again. If I remember, you know, correctly, if I look at what ran in the fields, what they beat. Those are two special horses. So the race guys are quite lucky in that there's 2 generations running of proper horses.
He's clearly a horse who not only excites you as a trainer, but racing fans too.
Well, I mean, these are the horses you wake up in the morning for, let's face it. It's what you go to the sales for. You're going to find them one in I don't know how many when you buy horses. But they also add a lot of pressure to your life, stress, you know, that kind of thing. So while they've got their upsides, there's also the downside of the stress they create, and well, the press doesn't help. They boom up horses a lot bigger than they are.
Do you think the industry is always looking for these boom horses to try and excite the fans out there?
Yeah, there's that aspect, plus you know, everyone gets off on the social media trying to be the first with a story and to make it bigger and better than it is. You know, at the end of the day, you don't do the connections any favours, and you don't do the industry any favours when it fails. You know, I just wish people would rather play things down than get ridiculously out of control as they are at the moment.
You prefer your horses to do the talking on the track?
Well, I think that's where it happens. You know, it doesn't happen on your social media. It happens in the number 1 box, and that's where the horses do the talking.
Gold Circle released weights this past week. Hawwaam will be receiving 4 and 3.5 kgs from his older counterparts. That equates to approximately 5 lengths over 2,200 meters.